Are you someone who just started working in a program like Prcreate and are trying to figure out layers? Are you new to digital drawing and you want to know how to make it more powerful and effective? Are you just here for a good time? Either way, this video is for you. We're going to be talking about layers and some very basic instructions on how to use them. Hello, my name is Patrick. I'm an artist and I like to have fun on the internet drawing pictures and hanging out. This is a tutorial on layers. Now, layers are a very powerful tool, and while they can be very complicated, I want to give you some simple ways of using layers to help you in your work. So I've got a basic blank document open here on my Prcreate. First of all, you need to find layers by going to these two squares that are layered on top of each other and clicking that button. You will see on a basic document that you just created, typically there'll be one layer and a section for background color. Every layer, as you put them in, has this little selector box. You can hit plus to add layers, as you can see there. If you want to control multiple layers at once, you can swipe to the right and you'll see a number of them will get selected. You can also mass delete them that way, and you can group them, which will then allow you to control them as a group. With one layer, you do have a number of options when you swipe to the left. You can clear the layer, you can duplicate the layer, or you can lock the layer. If you click on a layer, you'll get a number of options. These sometimes will change as you're working in multiple layers. So one of the things I like to do with my layers is work on a sketch layer. Let's sketch a quick sketch on a layer here. Now that I have the sketch, I want to do line art. You create a new layer, hit that little plus button, and you're able to now draw on a separate layer from the original. And you can see that when I draw on top here, it doesn't ultimately affect it. Now, there's this little N here, and this actually opens another menu for our layer. One of the key things it offers is the opacity of the layer, which is of huge advantage to us because we can turn our sketch down to almost nothing, and then we can work on our new layer, which is at full blast, and of course, we can now start doing our line art. All right, and just like that, we've got our line art done. We've got our lovely little mushroom friend here. And as you can see, we've got our top layer, which is now our line art, and our bottom layer, which is, of course, our sketch. And now we can use the check mark to turn off that layer, and we can see the image just as it is, and our sketch is there should we want to change anything. So say we wanted to color this image. Now, one of the easiest things you can do in Prcreate is just choose your color and click and drag. Now, the problem with that is that the color ends up all on the same layer as the lines, and if you ever want to change the lines or the color, you can't do much about it. However, an easy tip is to just duplicate your original layer so you have two versions of the line art, and on the lower version of the line art, that's where you can start putting in your original colors. Perfect, and just like that, I filled in all of my colors. Because we are on a separate layer, we now have a layer that is just the outline and a layer that's the outline and the image. And you can actually see if I move this over, we have two separate images. And this is helpful because we're going to create a new layer on top of the color layer, and we're actually going to set it to be a clipping mask. And what this means is it's going to inherit from the image below, which is the image of our mushroom colored. You can see I've created a shape, but it's only showing the parts that are in the space that had color on the previous layer. That's what the clipping mask is doing. And in fact, if we made it not a clipping mask again, you'll see the giant shape that I drew. But the clipping mask will tighten it up to that edge and fill it in. This is particularly useful for us when we want to do shadows. So we're going to actually use one of those fun filters by clicking the N on the screen and going up to multiply here on this list. You can see it just left of my head. Multiply. What a multiply layer does is it multiplies the color that you've chosen on the select layer. So you'll see my blue here becomes more blue because I'm using blue, and my beige becomes more blue because we want to have a blue shadow. And I just closed that image and then filled it in, and you'll see just like that we've got the shadow that looks natural. All of the colors have adjusted the exact same, and because we used a layer, it actually was a non-destructive way of adding to our image, which is why layers are so powerful. It's a little bit dark for my liking, so I'm going to use the opacity tool here on my layer and just turn it down. And just like that, we have a nice looking layer. We're also going to do the same thing by using a clipping mask to get a highlight layer. And just like that, we've added this highlights to our image. Now, the nice thing about working in layers is that because we did it that way, we can ultimately turn off the highlights. We can turn off the shadows, we can decide to clear it and do it again, and it won't affect anything else but the layer we're working on. that is the very basics of using layers in Procreate. In terms of a practice exercise, let me just say this to you. Get out there and practice with some very simple line art. If you're using Procreate, jump into my Discord. I actually have a bunch of blank coloring sheets. You can practice using them for layers. You can fill in just like I did here, do some shading, have some fun, mess around with it. The whole point of learning is to try new things and to get things done. So draw yourself a mushroom. I will put the outline of this mushroom in my Discord as well under the coloring sheets. You can give it a try. But yeah. That's it for today. Make sure you join that Discord. It's a great place to hang out with people and to learn art and to talk about art and to see other art being done. And frankly, when you watch other artists, you learn so much. We'd love to have you there. Good people hang out there. And yeah, that's going to be it. So till next time, keep being awesome.